Thank you everyone for having me. My name is Jordan Thomas. Today we are going to talk to you about culture and the influence that it has on today's society. What is culture? Culture has many definitions, but today we're going to focus on culture as a group of people who through a process of learning are able to share perceptions of the world which influence their beliefs, values, norms, rules, which eventually affect behavior. Culture is everywhere you look. It is the people next to you, the friends you hang out with. It's the language you speak. It's the stories your families taught you. It's the beliefs and values you hold dear to your heart. Culture is what makes our country, even the state of California, so unique. All the differences of people, languages, stories, and beliefs and values. Those can be put into what is known as cultures. What is a culture? A culture is a group whose values, beliefs, or behaviors is set apart from the larger culture, which is with which shares many similarities. Examples of cultures can be put into race and ethnicity, gender identity and sexual orientation, age and generation, disabilities, and social economic status. How do we communicate with cultures so different than what we know? We can put it into 5 easy steps, which is just understand person's behaviors and reactions are often culturally driven. Accept the different languages and religions of everyone. Consider special needs for team members, such as holidays and different hours of operation. Ask questions if you're unsure of cultural differences. And then always show the way by courteously ensure teammates follow a path of understanding and acceptance. The main topic today that we're going to talk about in the culture world is age and generation, how different generations communicate, and how we can be better as one of the younger generation to understand the older. First, we got to start out with the baby boomers. We're born in 1946 through 1964. Their preferred communication is face-to-face interaction, conversation between one or multiple people right in front of you. Next, we have Gen X, which was born between 1965 and 1980. Their preferred communication is using short, brief messages opposed to long ones, so they like to keep it short and simple to get to their point. Millennials, which were born in 1981 through 1996, got to grow up with some technology, so we like to use technology like texting and social media, digital messaging, versus trying to avoid as much as we can face-to-face interaction. And then last is Gen Z, which were born from 1997 to current year. Their preferred communication is also by digital messaging, such as texting and social media apps. Except for when they're actually in the workforce, they do like face-to-face conversation to get a point across. Now I will hand it off to my partner here, who will talk more about the generations.
Hello, my name is Annalise Yeagerman, and my topic for this project is age and generation and how they communicate with each other. Generations are groups of individuals that share a lot of the same values, norms, behaviors, and more. This is because they are around the same age and because they have lived during the same time period. There are big differences between the different generations. These are called gap differences, and they would usually cause misunderstandings or lack of communication between the generations. There is an especially large gap between the younger and older generations. For example, baby boomers and millennials would probably have more of a lack of communication than Generation X and millennials. This is because they have more in common. Intergenerational disconnect are disagreements or lack of communication between any of the generations. Social media is still relatively new, and therefore newer generations such as millennials are more familiar with this new technology, while older generations such as baby boomers were exposed to it way later in life, so it is a little more intimidating for them to use and navigate through technology. Older generations such as baby boomers prefer either face-to-face communication or written letters. This is because they were raised that that was the proper way of communicating, and technology is still new to them. Newer generations, such as Generation X and Millennials, have become accustomed to communicating through telephone calls. Now generations are used to text messaging through social media and other methods of communicating through technology. Understanding the way that other generations communicate is extremely important because we don't want to lose that communication or cause a lack of communication between the generations. Understanding and accepting that everyone is different and has a different style or way of communicating is important because we need to realize that people's behaviors and reactions are culture driven. If we don't accept that everyone comes from a different culture, there will essentially be many misunderstandings between the different cultures. Asking questions is an excellent way of trying to understand one's culture. Learning how to communicate is also extremely important between the different generations. As we now know, generations are groups of individuals who are similar in their values and also close in age. The age gap between the different generations can cause a lack of communication, especially when it comes to the use of technology and social media. Just simply understanding that other cultures and generations differ from us and have a different style of communication will overall help us to stop the lack of communication in our societies today. Thank you.